Hi, everyone. This is Lovelyn Johnson. I'm a John Maxwell certified leadership coach. Today, we are going to be looking at the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. And the law we are going to talk about is the law of sacrifice. Let's get started. We all have made sacrifices in our lives. The question I have for you today is what sacrifices have you already made in your leadership journey? The law of sacrifice states that a leader must give up to go up. A leader must give up to go up. If you think about it, sacrifice is at the heart of leadership. So often, even when I was flipping through the pages of this book and I saw the law of sacrifice, I didn't quite like it because often we think of leadership as we climb up the corporate ladder or wherever we are leading. We think of leadership as there comes a point where we can stop making sacrifices because at the bottom level of leadership, we know that we have to make sacrifices to climb up. But as we keep climbing up, we think that we no longer have to make sacrifices. But at the heart of leadership is sacrifice. Sacrifice is sort of the foundation. And when you think about a pyramid, if you look at leadership, often there are more people at the bottom rung. And as the leadership level keeps going up, there are very few people who are willing to climb up. The only reason is they understand that they have to keep on sacrificing to climb up the corporate ladder or wherever they are leading. The number one principle the book talks about is there's no success without sacrifice. We all have made sacrifices. We know that. If you look at me, I've taken many courses to equip myself when I was in the corporate world. And now, as a leadership coach, I'm constantly keeping myself engaged in mentorship and other roles so that I could serve other people well. And that is the law of sacrifice. You're giving your time, you're spending money to invest in yourself so that you could be a better leader. If you look at an athlete, for example, they spend countless hours building and honing their skills so that they could be ready for the big day. Parents make sacrifices. An effective leader must always make sacrifices to climb up. They have to give up something that is good to get something that is better. Life is a series of trade offs, and this quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson really stood out to me. For everything you have missed, you have gained something else. And for everything you gain, you lose something. Leaders often have to give up more than others because if you think about a leader, sacrifice is, like I said, the foundation of leadership. Often a leader would give up their time, their energy, their resources, their hobbies. They're constantly making personal sacrifices in order to serve others. And that's what a leader does. The heart of leadership is putting others ahead of yourself. I love this chart because it really explains the cost of leadership in a beautiful way. When you start your leadership journey, you have lots of rights. Leadership is a pyramid, you have lots of rights. But as you climb up the leadership journey, your rights diminish and your responsibilities expand. And that's the cost of leadership. So often our perception about leadership is we think our rights will expand and our responsibilities probably maybe reasonably good. But technically, as you climb up the leadership ladder, your rights sort of diminished and your responsibility sort of expand. When you become a leader, one of the things that I would encourage you to keep in mind is don't just think about the perks of leadership, think also about the price of leadership. Because I remember reading books, How to Get the Corner Office. Because if you think about it, no, we often think about leadership in terms of its perks. The corner office, you get a special parking spot, or you stand up and speak with confidence, and you are a person of influence. You are in the limelight. Those are all true. Those are the perks of leadership. But if you think about it, people who enjoy the perks of leadership often has paid the price for leadership. It's good to value and be willing to pay the price. And if you can enjoy the perks, sure, enjoy it. This principle was also very interesting to me. You must keep giving up to stay up. When you think about leadership, when you start your leadership journey, you know that you have to make sacrifices. You don't question it. You're willing to put long hours because you know you have to make sacrifices. But as you climb up the ladder, somehow we feel entitled and we think we no longer have to make sacrifices, but we can enjoy the perks. Really, in order for you to stay up and keep staying up, you need to keep on giving up to grow up or even to stay up for that matter. A leader is continuously making sacrifices in order to stay up in the journey. This was so interesting. The higher the level of leadership, the greater the sacrifice. The perfect example is an auction. Think about an auction. You are there, they are bidding for an item. What happens when the bidding begins? Everyone is in the pool. Everyone wants to buy the item and they are throwing in numbers and it's so lively. There comes a point as the price keeps going up, you can see that there are not many bidders anymore. Then there are just a few people as the price keeps going up. And finally, only one person is willing to pay that heavy price for that item, like probably the true value for it. Leadership is often like that. When you start, there are a lot of people who are willing to do the sacrifice and be in the arena. But as the price keeps getting bigger and bigger, there are very few people who are willing to keep making the sacrifices to stay and keep growing up on the top. The higher the level of leadership, the greater the sacrifice you have to make. You will have to give up if you want to go up. And that's the foundation of the law of sacrifice. I was thinking about real world example. So many people came to my mind. One thing in particular, when Elon Musk, I remember the talk of electric cars. I said to myself, what are the odds of that being a success? But he believed in electric cars and Tesla. He invested his personal time, his personal money, and he put all his bets on Tesla. And we know Tesla is a success story. I thought of Nelson Mandela, who was willing to spend 27 years of his freedom for the freedom of South Africa. I thought of Malala Yousaf. She has this passion for girls going to school and the price that she was willing to pay. So when you appreciate any leader, Martin Luther King Jr., there are so many leaders, and today we appreciate them only because of the heavy sacrifice that they were willing to pay in order to serve and lead others. How do you apply the law of sacrifice to become an influential leader? Are you willing to make sacrifices? I would even ask, are you willing to keep making sacrifices? Are you willing to give up to grow up? Because you should understand that when you climb up the ladder of leadership, your rights will diminish and your responsibilities will increase. Are you willing to pay the price? The next question I would ask is, just prepare a list of things that you are willing to give up and the things that you are not willing to make a sacrifice. I know people who are willing to say yes for travel, and there are people who will say no to travel, don't want to make that sacrifice of time because they are in a season, children are younger or whatever. So, what are the things that you are willing to sacrifice and the things that you are not willing to sacrifice? It's good to know what are those for yourself. What are you willing to trade in order to gain greater influence? Because it's not the perks. Don't look at the perks. Always think about the price that you're willing to pay. How are you going to invest in yourself? How are you going to take care of your time, talent, and treasure? How are you going to sacrifice those in order for you to climb up? In what areas are you probably having the disease of destination? Because so often we think, I need to climb up, I want to become a VP or president, executive director, whatever the role is. And we are willing to do some things and climb up and do that. And then comes a point where we don't want to do anything more because we have thought of success as leadership, as a destination. We strived for a particular title, we got the title, and then we think,
think, oh, I've reached my destination. But the problem is stagnation happens when you reach your destination and when you don't move. So you need to keep investing in yourself. You should be willing to keep sacrificing and paying the price so that you could keep climbing, or you can stay and be a better servant in terms of leading your team and other people. So the law of sacrifice, as you know, the leader has to give up to go up. John Maxwell gives this beautiful quote: success requires continual sacrifice, not occasional, not one time, but continual sacrifice. And let's keep that in our mind if we really want leadership growth. I hope you found this lesson helpful. Next week, we will be talking on the law of timing. I hope to see you there.